the chair of the Housing Committee for Bronx CB7. Tonight, like I said before, we're going to have a webinar, and I will be facilitating it today. The topics are as follows, and we have the Fordham Landing Project, who is here to give us an update on their current projects in Fordham Landing. A few things that I'm going to bring up is the controls when joining in from a landline or cell by calling a dial-up number. To hear all available commands, enter ** on your phone, *6 to mute or unmute yourself, *9 virtual raise hand. To raise your hand, click on the heart emoji and the option to raise your hand will appear. This is new on Zoom. Some of us are used to the old version. This is the new version. Okay, and before we begin, I'll go over our community guidelines. Everyone beside the speaker/presenter will stay muted throughout the webinar. *6, mute or unmute yourself. After each presentation is over, I will inquire if anyone has questions. You may signify that you have a question by pressing the raised hand button on your screen. *9, virtually raise your hand. Only those recognized by the facilitator will be allowed to speak. We will stay on topic with the agenda items, and this webinar and committee cannot conduct board business, take attendance, approve minutes, make motions, etc. All voting matters must be brought before an in-person committee meeting. Okay, with that being said, I pass on the webinar, and I believe, Francisco, you will be starting off. You're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I'll have Brad Jackson open up for our team. Brad?
Hey, welcome. Thank you for having us. I am Brad Jackson. I am the co-founder of Dynamic Star, the owner of the Fordham Landing site. And I'm going to turn it over to Penny Lee to give the presentation.
That was quick.
They want to know information. They don't want to know me.
I feel like Mikey from that cereal commercial. Anyway, this is Penny Lee I'm the planner working with Brad and Gary at Dynamic Star and working with Frank. And we last went to this committee. I want to say it was last June.
June 20, Penny.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think the main difference between what we shared with you in June and the present is a shift in the unit mix and the affordability levels for the development. What changed between last June and the present is the City of Yes for Housing text amendments were approved. And Brad and Gary also did a rethink about how they wanted to approach the income mix at the development. And the City of Yes for Housing text amendments allowed Brad and Gary to think very seriously about doing 100% affordable development here. And before I go any farther, I just want to underscore that what we are going to talk about tonight is a proposal. It has not been approved by HPD. The things that have been approved and that, are able to proceed, is the development itself, because the zoning was put in place back in 1988, right? The site was rezoned. It was approved by the Board of Estimate on September 8th, 1988. So the residential zoning is there. And the other thing that has been approved since then is the Shore Public Walkway design. That required a chair's certification from city planning, and that was approved by Chair Garodnick April, I think it was, of last year. And a chair's certification for a transit easement was also required, and that was approved at the same time that the chair's certification for public waterfront access was approved. So And we shared with you last July or last June those designs, and they're in this package here as well. But what has changed, again, as I mentioned, is the number of units is now being proposed at 924 instead of the roughly 505 units that we had talked to you about. And it is now proposed to be 100% affordable. And I think the slide that's the most useful is I think it's the next one. It's the rendering. Yeah. Is there a way to enlarge it to make it full screen?
We may have to pin.
Let me try. I think that the document was extremely large, so it was giving me issues last time.
Or
Right.
people can individually just open it up, make it bigger on your phone or your laptop. You can pinch it and make it bigger.
Hold on.
I can't do that. It's not allowing me to do that.
Okay, Penny, I'll make you a co-host
Okay.
and see if maybe through the PowerPoint slides you're able to.
Or if I could find it. Oh, I was having computer problems. I had to restart my computer right before this. Let me see if I can share my screen. Let me see if I can find it in my computer. Whoops. Okay, final documents. CB7 Housing Land Use Economic Development, Fordham Landing South update. Oh, it's not responding. Oh, here we go. Okay. Can I find you?
Yes, thank you, Cesar. I'll definitely share the bit.ly.
Okay, can people see this?
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Okay, so this is a rendering taken from, looking east.
Wait, Penny, I think we can see your screen, but we didn't see the pop-up of the presentation.
Oh, that's not fun. So you can't see okay. Well then, I don't know what to say.
Try double clicking on the file name, see if it opens in the browser.
We could see your screen where it showed the file, so whatever space that was. In case you have dual screens.
And that's not it, no. I was having this issue the other day. All right. And this, I have the file open here, so I don't know why when I click on share screen, it's not picking it up. So you can't see this rendering, is that correct?
No. We're just seeing the screenshot.
I mean, I don't know what to say.
Maybe we go
Okay,
to
I'll
Carla?
try again. Hold on.
Penny, it is when you click share screen, you select the screen to share, and you just happen to select another screen that is not the presentation. So
Yeah,
you
Here it
should stop
is.
share. Yeah.
It finally showed up. Now can you see it?
Yeah. Penny.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it hadn't been listed all of the other times. I don't know why. Okay, so rewind. This is a rendering of the site from the inwood side of the Harlem River, right? So you're looking east. And this, can you guys see my cursor
Um,
or
mm,
no?
no.
Okay, so the building on the right is what we refer to as the South Building. It's a single tower and a base. And the building on the left is what's referred to as the North Building. It's 3 towers on a base. So under this proposed, and again, as I said, this is a proposal to HPD. We are in discussions with HPD. We are, seeking an affordable housing financing package. If we can reach agreement on that, the South Building, or the building on the right, would consist of 350 units. The AMIs would be 27%, 47%, 90%, and 100%. There would be an approximately 100,000 square foot charter school in the base. There would be a very small, approximately 3,000 square foot Metro North station entrance in the northeast corner of the high-rise portion of the building. There would be approximately 150 below-grade accessory parking spaces, and then there would be administrative space for supportive housing. And then in the North Building, or the building on the left, there would be 574 units. The AMIs would be the same here as they would be in the South Building, which would be 27%, 47%, 90, and 100. And when you're looking at the AMI line, it's, the AMIs / units. So 27% AMI, there would be 173 units at that AMI. And, that carries through for the rest of the AMIs. We've talked to city planning about doing a follow-up ULURP application to allow an approximately 10,000 square foot grocery store supermarket on the ground floor of the North Building. That was something that it's something we have wanted for quite some time. At the time the site was rezoned back in 1988, there would have been local retail space, but it would have been accomplished through a general large-scale special permit. And that special permit has expired, and the residential zoning doesn't allow any retail. So that's why we need a follow-up ULURP application. There would be 182 below-grade accessory parking spaces at the North Building. And then again, there would be supportive housing administrative space in the base of the building. And then site-wide, there would be approximately 3 acres of public waterfront and other public open space. And then there would be the 2 public roadways. There would be a public roadway at grade, at the river level at roughly 13 feet. And then there would be another public roadway at the University Heights Bridge level at roughly 33 feet. And then just to follow through, this table summarizes everything that was on the rendering. And then in terms of this is showing the affordable housing proposal under HPD's mix and match term sheet. And again, this is proposal under discussion with HPD. So the total unit count, as I mentioned, would be 924 units. The north building would have slightly more units than we had originally discussed under the 70-30 proposal. And then the south building, which was originally going to be a community facility building, would now have 350 units, and then the charter school. And then this is a pedestrian, it's basically the same for vehicles as well as people and bikes. But the lower diagram is showing pedestrian access at the river level. So in order to access the site at the grade or river level, that would be done through the ramp that currently takes you down to the site via Exterior Street. And you would go under the University Heights Bridge and then come on to the site. And everything in yellow is showing pedestrian circulation. And then up top, there would be a curb cut that's proposed. We have a conditional curb cut approval letter from DOT. There would be a curb cut on the south side of West Fordham Road that would provide, excuse me, access into the site. And again, everything in yellow is showing the pedestrian space. These are rather detailed. These are renderings of the Shore Public Walkway. It's a rather wide circulation path, predominantly to allow for access by fire trucks. And this is showing, the rendering here is showing the 2 levels of public roadway. This would be the elevation 33 level with a canopy over the overlook. And then down here is showing the grade level. And then right now there's DOT property that's that's abutting the University Heights Bridge. There's 15 feet of city-owned land, and then there's an additional 15 feet of Dynamic Star property that isn't occupied by the building. So that 30 feet would be combined to provide this walkway that would extend from Exterior Street at grade out to the waterfront. And then this is showing the access to the waterfront off of the University Heights Bridge. It would be a ramp down to the Shore Public Walkway. And bicycles would be able to, you couldn't ride your bike down the ramp, you would have to dismount and walk your bike down the ramp. And again, this is showing a view looking east, showing the south building on the right, the north building on the left, the turnaround for vehicles, drop-offs, people coming to the waterfront, people coming to the school. And then where that red car is, and I apologize, my cursor doesn't turn, my cursor changes when I'm in a PDF like this. But where the red car is roughly the location of the MTA Metro North station. And then these are some of the sustainability highlights. One thing that everybody is pretty excited about is that 60% of the building's energy is going to be geothermal. And then the balance of the energy will be via high efficiency condensing boilers. The windows will have a View Smart window system, and that system uses AI to tint the windows as the sun gets stronger or weaker. And that way it saves energy in the building. It eliminates the need for blinds. And it results in up to a 6-degree cooler interior temperature on a hot summer day. So it's another really critical energy efficient component. And all of the appliances will be electric. Domestic hot water will be preheated with a heat pump water return. All of the exterior lighting will be dark sky approved. And then the buildings will be 28 inches above code minimum base flood elevation. So that summarizes everything we have. And I think it probably makes the most sense now for me to stop talking and to take questions.
Great, thanks, Penny. Haida or Carla, how do we proceed? I know there's some questions on chat.
Yeah, Hira will probably go through the questions.
Okay,
Okay.
I will go through the questions. So
yes.
the first question that I see coming into the chat is from Eric. A lot of units in the 27% level. Does this level include the supporting housing units?
I'm sorry, where's the,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, could you repeat it?
Sure. It says a lot of units in the 27% level. Does this level include the supportive housing units?
Yes,
Yes.
precisely. Yes.
Okay. The next question is how many parking is being provided? How much parking is being provided? Excuse me.
150 spaces in the south building and 182 in the north building.
That is it for the chat so far. Going to people who have their hands raised. Edgar, see you.
Yes, good evening. Is there an expectation? I don't know if that was brought up, the expectation of a start time or a moving along time on the project?
Well, that's dependent on reaching a, a financing package.
I would say is since HPD is on the phone, we don't want to negotiate from ourselves, but we want as soon as possible. We're hoping this spring or that we get in the ground or not too long after, but we're trying as quick as possible.
We have already filed plans with the buildings department for the foundation.
I'm sorry, just one other question. Are you guys gonna be working under a PLA, or what's the expectation of labor? So I know with
We're
Gary
built-
Siegel, it was proposed as a union project. I thought.
Yes, we are going to be a union project, and we will be signing a PLA with Gary LaBarbera and everyone else. We're in the talks. And we'll be managing we'll be managing union also. We have a deal with 32BJ.
Mhm.
Okay, there is also another question in the chat from Jesus. Are the 3 acres of waterfront and other public spaces fully accessible to the general public and not just to residents?
Oh, most definitely. They are fully accessible to the general public. Yeah, totally accessible to the general public.
Connecting the
The buildings themselves will have public open space on the roofs where it can be provided. That would be a tenant amenity, but the public waterfront esplanade and the walkway, alongside the bridge, and what else am I looking at here? All of the sidewalks, all of the roadways, it is all fully integrated into the New York City street system and accessible to bikes and pedestrians and scooters and anybody who can get themselves there.
Brad, there's a question about a ferry stop. You want to answer that?
Actually, I would like to answer that because in order to raise the site, there's quite a distance between the water and land. So this site is probably not the best site to accommodate any type of ferry or water taxi. We did a study with the Waterfront Alliance, and they reached out to all of the ferry operators. And the bridge clearance heights on the Harlem River right now are in certain cases are too low to accommodate a ferry. So what they suggested, at least initially, is that we consider some type of water taxi. So you would take a ferry down to the current ferry landing south of here, and then maybe a water taxi could come up and support the development here and at Inwood. But it's going to be tricky to get a ferry landing, just in part because of the grade differential between the river and the dock. Or not the dock, but the river and where you would actually get onto land.
But the intent is to do what we can to bring as much water activity to the site as possible. On the northern site that we are working on to rezone with the city, we'll have as much waterfront activity, and it has much more flexibility, but we plan on bringing all kinds of water activity to the site, and developing the waterfront as much as possible. And we will work further with the Waterfront Alliance. But I think the taxi idea starts the process and makes it a location. And then as business and people start using it, I think maybe the companies would invest in a better boat that goes lower, is what they were really explaining. So it really has to do with, as we have more volume, there'll be more interest in a custom boat, but we plan on expanding as much as we can.
Penny, there's a question about parkland being knocked out as part of the development.
Excuse me?
A question, will any parkland be knocked out as part of the development? Parkland?
No, this
No.
is a vacant site. There is no parkland here. This is doing the opposite of paving paradise and putting up a parking lot. This is like converting a parking lot and putting up paradise. No, there's no parkland here.
And the method for allowing the grocery store use, a rezoning to add a commercial overlay or different approach is the question.
Commercial overlay.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't, the site is pretty constrained. The intention here is to provide housing. We're not trying to generate a lot of retail. We're not trying to generate a lot of traffic, but we do believe it's important for residents of the building to be able to, go buy a carton of milk when they need to.
Are both buildings part of the formerly referenced La Sala site?
Yes, this is the La Sala site. This is that, yes. It's approximately 4 acres.
Hey, Francisco, we have someone's hand up. Eric?
Hi, everyone. I have a question about the supermarket, that you're proposing, the grocery store. So, so you just said that this is intended for the residents of the buildings only.
No. We
No.
want to, no, it will be available to anybody, but
Okay,
given that
so if
given that it will be approximately 10,000 square feet, this is not a destination supermarket. There are larger supermarkets on the other side of the river. Target has a larger supermarket. So we expect that those supermarkets will continue to serve as, as the main draw. This is a smaller local, 10,000 square foot store. But it's open to anybody, but we're assuming that it will be primarily used by the residents of this site. And, you know, when Fordham Landing North on the other side of the bridge is developed, it can be a resource for those residents and users as well.
So if a lot
And
of the
most of-
if a
I
lot of
just
the
wanna-
foot traffic of this site is via cars, right? Because it's not accessible pedestrian wise so easily. So are you planning to provide parking for this grocery store as well, or no?
Well,
Like
there
separate
are
parking?
there will be 150 spaces in the south building and 182 in the north building. And this site is actually pretty accessible to pedestrians. I mean, I'm always seeing people walking back and forth on the University Heights Bridge, and that's exactly how you would get here, is via that bridge.
So let me just say that we're talking a smaller 10,000 square foot grocery store, but it will be an urban store that handles and provides products that people need. I've been walking around this neighborhood for 6 years now, and I do realize since Pathmark is gone, there's a need for groceries. People right across the street. I understand in the building that's going up in Inwood, there's a Farmer's Bazaar, but we feel that this store will be used by local people and the building. And you'd be surprised that one of the stores that we looked at as an example, I think it's called Lincoln Market. If you go online, you'll see they provide a decent amount of product. But again, 10,000 feet, it's, not the giant store, but I think it'll be very helpful to the neighborhood, understanding the depth of how you walk downhill, and it'll be a well-used supermarket for everybody.
And
But
if
again, I just want to underscore, it's not intended to be a destination supermarket, so it's not going to be attracting a lot of vehicles. It's
Oh,
not going to
yeah.
generate a lot of traffic.
Yeah, no,
understood.
I meant to say that it's really an urban supermarket where locals are going to become their local clients, I believe. And we'll make sure everybody knows what they're doing.
One last question about the supermarket. So if you guys get this granted by city planning, are you going to be pursuing the fresh program on this to add more units eventually, or no?
No, there's enough floor area here that we don't have to.
But
Okay,
we plan on making it we want to make as much
We
as
want to make it an
organic.
affordable supermarket, and we want it to have fresh characteristics, but it won't be done under that program.
Thank you. That's
okay. And so when you guys first presented this project, the South building was completely community facility.
Right.
And I guess that now, because of the new zoning change, you have opted to provide 350 more additional units.
Well, that's the proposal.
Right, that's the proposal now. So so there will be no community facility other than the charter school again in this
There would
project?
be,
Yes, the charter
there
school
would be
would
the
be.
charter school, and that
And
would
only
be
the charter school, because you
only
had
the charter
you
school.
had the charter school already, and you had additional community facility for the neighborhood to use, like medical offices, etc. When you first presented this project, I wonder why not provide that as well.
We will be providing some other community space. We're looking at other areas in the building where we have more community space and it's not finished. And we might provide some more community space. We have the availability. So we're working on the design. But we have a tenant that's a charter school. So that's why we are saying 100,000. But there are other spaces in the building that we would provide for a medical tenant and other community space.
That would not within this envelope, however, not within what we're showing you here. What I think what Brad is referring to is that the zoning district here has a very large FAR, community facility FAR. You can go up to 6.5. So there is room, there's theoretical zoning capacity for community facility space. But the proposal that we are discussing with HPD and the proposal that, that we are discussing publicly now is this. And it is the charter school, and it's the 350 units in the South Building and 574 in the North Building, and the associated supportive housing administrative space.
Right. I understand that. I'm just
Okay.
saying that it seemed like at the time when you presented the original design, having the additional community facility will be beneficial to the rest of the community. And now you're basically taking that away to provide additional housing, which I understand is necessary,
Yeah.
but it is a large number of units. And as I was asking Jahaira, there's a lot of units under the 27% AMI, which are supportive housing, but there's really no breakdown of how many supportive housing units there are and what are not supportive housing.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand your last comment.
In the 27%, right? Are
Right.
you saying that all those units, 105 and 173, are supportive housing?
I believe so. Brad?
The 105 is supportive housing, I believe, yes.
Not that 173 in the
No.
north.
And the 173. Yes, the 27% is supportive housing. Yes.
In both, oh, I'm sorry, in both of them, yes, yes, those are supportive housing. And to
So
answer
that's
your question,
200,
we actually,
278 supportive housing units you're providing now.
yes.
That's a big number.
What is your objection to that?
That is a big number when we could have more AMIs distributed to distribute the units among more AMIs to allow more flexibility and more availability to the community.
So here's how it breaks down. 30% phases here, at the bottom numbers are really change. Anyway, it's a third of the units are at 27%. 10% are at 47%, and then at 90 and 100, it's another, 60%.
Right.
So 60% of the units are at 90 or 100 AMI, and then the balance are at 47 or 27.
Right, but also when you, under the new zoning, right, under 100% affordability, you are required to have a certain percentage of units to be permanently, or 25% or 30%, I forget what it was, right, in order to maximize the FAR, no?
Needs to be
Or
affordable.
you need to use that.
No, I think what you're trying to say is again, HPD has rules of certain amount of supportive to every project now. So if you're building a project, there's certain rules that this is from HPD's rules. And our goal was to come up with a mix that made sense under their rules. So we would like to focus on workforce and those AMIs, and having a building with different AMIs makes it a stronger place. But we have to work within their rules, and those are the rules.
Brad, another question. Will we be hiring locally, or will that be handled by Gary LaBarbera?
No, we're going to be hiring locally. We're going to set up local hiring, and also all of our, as an example, we told you Lincoln something as an example, but they won't be we'll be using local grocery people, local workers, and all the people we're hiring will be trained locally for 32BJ. As you know, we had those meetings.
Okay, before we go on, Francisco, there was one question sitting here for quite a while, and I've been wanting to get it. I wanted to do it from the top to bottom, and you're seeing them from the bottom up.
Okay, you do.
Robin Roland had a question. Can you explain what the 20% means? I missed some parts.
Can you explain what means?
Can you explain what 27% means? She
Oh.
missed the part that we were talking about.
Yeah, so that's just the percentage of the area median income. So if the area median income is, just using round numbers, if the area median income is $100,000, then 27% of $100,000, that would be the income level. So that would be $27,000. If that would be the income that you could have to live in that unit.
Next, we have a question from Jensen Hornsman. What is the method for allowing the grocery store use of rezoning to add a commercial overlay or a different approach?
A commercial, ULURP application to establish a commercial overlay.
Then we have, well, any parkland, which we discussed. The next question. On a related note to Silly's question, do we have an idea of how many trees are being planted?
We do,
We
but I
do.
don't have it in my head. I can email you that tomorrow.
Thank you, Penny.
No, yeah, they have been quantified down. Every single plant has been quantified.
Thank you. The next question, it comes from Ismael Manolias. Has the technology for access control and video security systems being handled by a MBE local business?
We have not picked that vendor yet, but we work with local people and we haven't picked that vendor yet, so.
Okay, thank you. Next question, I believe it was answered. It was by Silly. Will you be hiring locally? And will be handled by Gary LaBarbera. The next question, what is the timeline for the commercial overlay ULURP? Or it will be tied into University Heights North?
No, it's separate and apart from University Heights North. I'm hoping it can go more quickly. We need to submit our PAS to city planning. It will need to do some type of environmental review. City planning indicated, that they've got a lot on their plate, but they will, try and process this as quickly as possible. So, I don't want to speak for them as to when it could possibly get certified. I need to get them a PAS first.
Okay. The next question, who is the charter school operator and what grades will it serve? Do they already have other schools in the neighborhood?
Yes, and it's ACI. It's a school that focuses, I believe the grades are middle school from 6 to 12.
Right.
Or 5 to 12. That's because that's what, and they do have other schools in the neighborhood, and the school focuses on engineering, architecture, and construction. And we're excited to have them. And they have a few schools in the neighborhood. I can get you some information.
Thank you.
They were very excited about, actually, when I walked them, the connection to Clemente Park and the waterfront for a school, and they were extremely excited at the fields and they would have access to that. Our property kind of opens up by connecting to it, but they were pretty excited about it.
Thank you. The next question, is there going to be a lottery selection?
Yeah, it's however, we will comply with HPD's rules for that in the event that, an agreement is reached with HPD.
Yes, thank you so much. I wanted to I apologize for my lateness. The question I really wanted to add on to that was, as far as the selection, I thank you for the lottery part. Is there going to be like a separation as far as veterans, seniors, single family, mothers, single mothers? Is going to be separate like that, or just according?
I don't know what you mean by separate like that. It's not like there are
different categories of people wanting to live on this property.
Thank you, Bernard. I think Penny, he is asking if there will be a preference allocated to seniors, veterans, or any.
Yeah. I honestly don't know if Ted from HPD is still part of this, and if Ted wants to answer, that would be swell, because that's an HPD question.
Yeah, if using the numbers that they're presenting, roughly with a 30% of the units, that would be for the supporter for the formerly homeless. That's not part of the lottery. The other 70% are, generally speaking, when a project is about 2/3 completed, that's when the marketing has to be put together, and they have to put together a marketing plan. We have a staff that then reviews it, and then that's when it's announced and it's published. And then people could, through the computer, they can apply if they want. There were some small preferences for like handicap, like maybe 2%, 5%, but for the most part, approximately almost 70% of the units would be going through the lottery.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Next question in the chat. It's from HPD. HPD should chime in on the AMI breakdown.
Okay, well, basically, it says Penny explained before, just quickly, the federal government each year for metropolitan areas all over the country issue what they call the area median income. So for the New York area, they establish a certain dollar amount for families of 1, of 2, of 3, or 4, and so on. We don't use that in itself, the area median income, what would be considered 100%. In this particular building, they are proposing to do some units at that level. But for the most part, buildings that we finance have a range like this does, the different levels. And so aside from the 30% of the units that'll be supportive, they're proposing that 10% of the units be for people who don't make more than 47% of that area and that median, and then 30% would be for people up to 90 and 3,400. So this one, for the most part, I mean, this is actually a rather large range. Most buildings we do in the Bronx aren't that big of a range, from roughly 30 to 100. But this is something that would be discussed as long as with the underwriting as well, because the numbers have to work. So that'll be a discussion between the development team and our staff and our new construction finance staff.
Thank you, Ted. I guess one of my suggestions, because the residents are asking a little bit more as to the AMI and the amount of units. My suggestion would be in that document that was presented before that shows those numbers. What is the area medium income per se that it's already established? If you can put it in parentheses, maybe next to the AMI, I guess that will give people a better understanding of what we're talking about. And in terms of income numbers, we're seeing percentages and we're not seeing exactly what the federal government versus the state versus the city is allowing it to be. So I think that will give everybody a better idea of what numbers we're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I think HPD it even has an official table.
Yeah, and if you want, I could just quickly give you just a couple of numbers to give you a sense. So, and actually what I'm using is the last year's numbers, but 100% of the AMI for a family of 3 last year was about just under 140,000. So that would apply to those units that they're proposing at that level, 100%. But for the 47%, so that would be just under, for a family of 3, about 69,000 as the maximum income.
Well, I would suggest just to put those numbers, so visually, right? We were talking about numbers and everybody gets all mixed in, but if we visually see up to what that income number is, I think is a better reference to the residents and to the members that are joined here tonight. Also, there's a quick question. What will the rent look like in each income level? Do we know?
We do. That's also part of HPD's table.
Okay, if that can be put in as well, I think that would be a great.
I was going to say we can provide it. We can provide it.
In your next update, I think that will be a great help, so it clears up anybody else's questions. I don't see any more questions in the chat at the moment. And I don't see any hands raised. Francisco, would you like to take it over?
Sure. I want to thank you all for allowing us to present our project. We're certainly looking forward to working with the community board. As you know, we've reached out to all the elected officials. We've had presentations made from congressman down to the local elected official, city council member. We've been talking to council member Sanchez and to Althea Stevens. We are looking forward to reconnecting with the borough president and update hers and to seek support from the community board and from all of the stakeholders because the significance of this project, the investment and the time that we've put into it is something that Brad and Penny and Gary believe in is good for the community. It connects it. It provides housing and a host of other amenities that we're looking forward to working with you and getting input.
Thank you. Thank you, Francisco. We look forward to having having Dynamic Star come back and give us more updates as to the projects and listening to our suggestions. I encourage our residents, I encourage our members that if you have any questions, send them over as always to Carla and I via email, via text. However, you can get to us when you see us so that we can try to address any questions that they may have. Anything else, Francisco, Brad, Penny?
No, I would say that if anyone has any communication, we don't have to wait for a meeting, just reach out to us. And we will continue to keep you in the loop and want to hear input. We've been working with also the Greenway Group, working on how to connect to Clemente Park and eventually connect all the way up to Cortland Park and further, and to bring people to the waterfront. I think this is going to be an amazing project, and we want to work with as many local people. So if anybody has great ideas about supermarket operators that do great jobs, please reach out to us because we will make it local.
And Chairwoman, if we wanted to get a letter of support officially, or Carla, what would you guys recommend? Because it would
this will have to be moved to a formal committee meeting, and the members will have to see your presentation and have a discussion and then brought out to a vote.
Okay.
Okay, as we normally do, then it goes from committee to the exec to the general board. Okay, Ted, for HPD, do you want to give us any feedback?
Yeah, Hira, one moment. So if you are submitting and we get a certification notice from DCP or pre-certification notice, just as Juton mentioned earlier, we do have a little bit of a longer process. We will have to host a public hearing. We're mandated to host that hearing. So
on the ULURP application for the commercial overlay, is that what we're talking about?
If we get a notification through Department of City Planning.
For the ULURP application for the commercial overlay, yes.
Right, yes.
That's the only thing that would require a vote.
Yes, that's it, yes.
Anything regarding with ULURP and that part of the process, once we get notified, public hearing must take place. Other than that, for letter of support, that goes as it normally does, committee, exec, general.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, I have in the chat, Yodalis from the Senator Jackson's office is there, and they've been also asking questions. So Senator Jackson's office received update that was several months ago. They would like to get an update.
Who's on from Senator Jackson's office?
Yodalis.
The Deputy Chief, Yodalis.
I'm sorry, your name again is?
Yodalis.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the last one actually was over a year ago, which is why when I saw this meeting, I joined in. Thank you for the presentation, but I was able to join in late. And so I'd just like to get your information in case we have more questions when I brief the senator. Thank you.
Okay. Happy to put it on the chat.
We're happy to meet at the trailer again anytime he wants.
Or we can come to your office.
Any other questions from the members, public, before we sign off?
We have one new message, I see. Oh, just appreciate it. Okay.
I wanted to chime in with Ted really quickly. Ted, any updates for us?
No, I mean, and on this, like he said, there's a lot of the discussion has to still take place. We have like what I call our finance staff. They act as like the bank. When someone's coming to us for financing, and they have to get over the underwriting, make sure it works. Make sure that the rental income is enough to cover the costs. At the same time, we want to make sure that I know there was one comment I saw about whether or not these are the numbers that can work for people who live in the area. There still is at this point a community preference, community district preference. It's less than what it used to be because there was a lawsuit. But as of right now, 20% of the units could get preferences for people from the District 7. That's going to go down a little more in a few years. But again, there's a lot of discussion yet to happen on this in terms of the numbers.
Okay,
And
thank you.
we still have also our internal process. Our architects review proposals. We in the planning division do. Like I said, the finance people do. So there's a lot of HPD review has yet to go. But at the same time, we are very interested in having this site developed. People have been talking about Fordham Landing for decades. And nothing has happened. And of course, we're always interested when somebody is willing to do 100% affordable.
Thank you, Ted. We appreciate statuses from you as well. And then I know Junton is from the Bronx BP's office. Anything to add, Junton?
No, I'm sorry. It caught me. I was eating some dinner.
Sorry.
But most of this project is as of right. If this does move forward with the rezoning, then we'll all address it. So yeah, thank you for having the
Great.
discussion.
Thank you for being here. Okay, with that being said, I don't see any more questions. I don't see any hands raised. Take the opportunity to end the webinar. I want to thank Dynamic Star, Francisco, Penny, going down this list here. Sorry, this is Brad, especially you, because this is your baby, your vision. So thank you very much for presenting. We look forward to all the updates that you have for us as this project moves along. Okay.
Thank you.